Now you're just asking what type of questions am I going to ask, are you, Nicole? Too late now to be asking that, aren't you? Anyway, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Nicole Green from the Synergy Dance Club and Nicola McLawrence. How's it going?
Good, thanks.
Thanks very much for coming in to us. You contacted me last night regarding a certain matter, and it's fabulous news. I'm going to just take a few texts before I forget about them. There was a few texts that came in about Mount Congreve. People saying, are they going to do any work on the house in Mount Congreve? If they redevelop the house, it would really attract the crowds overall. It's a good day for Waterford. Another person texting, it is great news for Waterford to see this development happening at Mount Congreve. It's going to bring a lot of business in. Another person, even without being pristine like it was in the 70s and also the 1980s, Mount Congreve is still a wonderful place to explore. The walled garden, fabulous autumn colours. They're now and present. You can go alone, take a walk. Highly recommend it. Another texter saying, and this is wonderful, wonderful news, securing the future for Mount Congreve. I love Mount Congreve. I have a yearly pass. I can see the top of the house from my garden window. Happy days, says that texter. Also, before I forget it, we had a happy 18th birthday request in for somebody from Kilmac. Peter Walsh from Kilmac. It's your birthday today. Damien, you have a wonderful sense of humour talking about intimate matters, says that person. And an elderly lady rang in to say she'd like to hear something a little bit more cheerful than that matter. We're going to talk about something very cheerful now. We have two ladies in studio, the Synergy Dance Club. Nicole, you're a teacher at the Synergy Dance Club.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Synergy Dance Club.
So I am originally from Clonmel in Tipperary, and I was starting a beauty therapy course actually in 2016. And I just said, because I danced all my life, I do a few classes on the side, a bit of pocket money while I was in college. And little did I know that something on the side was going to turn into my kind of full-time job. But like, it's not a job to me. Like, I absolutely love it, and it's just after really kicking off. And it's literally, this year has just been absolutely amazing. It's like opportunity after opportunity, and it literally is completely down to just how hard we all work as a team and stuff. And not just me and the kids, but all the parents are a big part of it as well. And it's just all absolutely kicking off this year.
And we'll announce the big news in a second, so just don't announce it yet. We'll have the listeners all on a tender hook about this. Where is Synergy Dance Club? Where are you based?
So we are based in Unit 8 Park Road, so it's just the business park across from the People's Park.
Yes.
It's on Newtown Road, and we've been there a year since September. So before that then, we were just doing little classes kind of in the back of a gym in Tyker. So we have our own studio now.
Isn't it fabulous that you're able to basically make a career, have a life, have a wage out of something you just love?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't work a day in my life, literally. So I'm down there Monday to Friday. And
you just love it, do you?
Yeah, just absolutely love it, yeah. It's just brilliant.
What ages are we talking about?
So the youngest is 5. And then the oldest would be... So I actually dance in a crew myself. So my crew would be the oldest. I'm the oldest dancer in it. And then the youngest after me is 20 years old. So it goes from 5 up to 23, basically.
And you'd have other helpers there and other teachers.
Yeah.
And it's a big responsibility.
That's
Fair play to you.
yeah.
How old are you, do you mind me asking?
I'm 23.
That's amazing. To have your own business and to be running that and to
Yeah.
have the premises and everything.
Yeah.
Nicola, you're a mammy.
Yep.
And you have one daughter taking part at present, is that it?
I've 2. Molly's 13 and Millie's 6.
And are both of them dancing at present?
Yep, they are.
Both of them dancing?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. And tell us, how do they like it? Tell us, how do they love it?
They were, like, it's hard to explain. When they first started, they were so shy, especially Molly. And the 2 of them are just, and Millie was the same. Like, if you said hello to her, she'd crouch down and hide. And now the 2 of them are the most confident little girls you could even meet. They just love it. Like, every child in there just shines. They're all so different.
The competitions, wasn't it?
They're all so different, but they just all shine in their own little way. Like.
And do they practice at home and be dancing in the kitchen?
They don't stop.
Really?
Even their dinner, the legs are going onto the table, the arms are going. Like, my husband would be ready to kill the 2 of them. Like.
And what's your husband's name?
Gavin McLarens.
Special shout out to Gavin. And are they trying to teach Gavin any moves, though?
No.
No, he's just down fixing the toilet. He's a plumber.
You have some marvellous news to reveal here this morning. You are going to be appearing on the
Toy show.
The late toy show.
Late toy show, yeah. Absolutely thrilled. So there was over 5,000 applications. It was narrowed down to just over 100 auditions. And we were kind of preparing ourselves, and maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't. When we go to our own competitions, we're kind of up against our own kind of style. But this is just like, it could be any talent you're up against. And they absolutely smashed the auditions. And then we got the news on Thursday that they were after getting through to it out of 5,000 applications.
Where did you have to take to go for the auditions?
It was in the Imperial Hotel in Cork. So we went up there Monday 2 weeks ago. And yeah, we only had 2 days to rehearse it because it was, say, a Thursday. No, was it a Friday? A Friday we got the news that we had the audition on the Monday. So we had our Friday practice as usual, and then we did an extra practice on the Saturday. And for kids as young as Nicola's daughter Millie, 6 years old, to get a team together in 2 days to absolutely smash an audition and get a place on the Toy Show is just amazing.
So Millie is part of the dance troupe for this particular dance. Yeah. Talk to me about what she had to do to take part in this.
Really, we were talking about putting a video in for the Toy Show audition. So they were going to the All Irelands. Nicole had said to Millie, this is her first competition. She said, if you come first in the All Irelands, she said, I will bring you on the Toy Show as the audition. Lo and behold, Millie came first in the All Ireland. So the crew that's actually dancing is Menace, and then there's 3 girls from Ferocious, which is an older crew. But they're under 13, so Millie is just kind of merging with them for this. But she started practicing with Menace. And the girls just love her.
She's a few years younger, but she does the classes, and Nicola has her down there 3 days a week at 6 years old. They're just such a dedicated family, as well as the rest of them. But she really deserved to be part of it because as I was saying, 6 years old, to be that dedicated and that hard working, and she just has a little drive in her. So we said that we'd have her do a little solo in it. And she's just over the moon about it now. She's obsessed.
Describe to me, what type of a dance is it?
So it's loads of different styles of hip hop. So you could have, say, routines that are a little bit more stronger, and then you'd have ones that are more sassy. So they have a bit of a variety in it. The mix itself was 2.5 minutes, the audition, and just like that, in and out of different kind of music and solos and tricks and stuff like that, and it was just all hip-hop based.
It would be great if everybody could take part, but they can't, unfortunately. And as you say,
many kids.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's fabulous for the club. But it's fabulous for Waterford as well. We understand it's the first time in a long time, is it?
Yeah, since the 80s. Since the 80s, I heard. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
and what would have been the last group, we wonder?
Bible School of Dancing.
Yeah.
How many are taking part? How many are in the troupe?
There's 13 of them dancing
13.
all together. Yeah.
And do mammies and daddies or get to go up, or what's the story?
No, just myself, my sister and my mother.
You're devastated. There's not one for everyone in the audience, not for Nicola anyway.
None of us actually get to sit in the audience. It's just myself, my sister, and my sister Shannon. She's actually who started Synergy in the first place. She opened Synergy in 2015 in Clonmel. We're actually from Clonmel. And yeah, she was kind of my teacher and showed me the roots and showed me everything, and then that's when I started it down here. So it's just myself, my sister Shannon and my mum Frances.
I was up, obviously had worked in RT, and I was up there one night at the back of the toy show. I wasn't in it or anything like that, and there's hundreds upon hundreds of children's and mammies and daddies and so you can't have everybody in the audience. It's unfortunate, but it must be, they must be buzzing, are they, Nicola?
Yeah, they don't stop talking about it.
They're obsessed with it.
They just love it.
We recorded their reaction and they were just bawling, crying. Absolutely bawling. Because when I was recording, I was pretending to be on the phone and I was like, oh, I understand. And look, we'll try again next year. And then I was like, wait, what? You want us this year? And they just started screaming. Then one of them was on the floor gripping onto legs and everything. They worked themselves up thinking, oh my God, I know they win all their competitions, their hip hop competitions, but they were like, this is a big thing. I had told them, I was kind of preparing them. If you don't get it, don't be upset. They were kind of like, our teacher never really says that. And then when they got it, then it was just like a relief.
It's going to be hard to get them asleep the night before.
And they have a competition the next day in Tala.
Yeah.
So they probably won't go to bed that night.
It'll be a very good weekend
straight
for them.
To Tala then the next
and what's
day.
happening? Going up in a bus or back down or staying over? What's the story?
We're going to head up the Friday.
When is it? Is it Friday? 29th, last Friday.
Yeah, it's actually live, the 29th.
Yeah.
So we're going to head up the Friday. We're going to stay in a little B&B on the Friday night. It's kind of after working out great because we have the competition in Tala then on the Saturday and the Sunday.
Excellent.
So we are staying up there for 2 nights and we're doing 3 full days of dancing between the Toy Show and the Hip Hop Idols. So it's going to be a weekend these kids just won't forget. It's brilliant.
Making memories.
Making memories. That's what it's all about.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nicole, thank you so much, Nicole Green and Nicola McLawrence. Well done. Congratulations to all the girls and everybody involved in the school and all the mammies and daddies.
Yeah,
and we'll look forward to seeing you.
Come down and see them.
Yeah,
Yes, we
definitely.
will. We'll come down to see you and do a little piece with them, definitely, before you go,
brilliant.
okay? Thanks so much, ladies. Thank you.
Thanks a million.
Now I'm going to be joined by Bernadette Ryan. In a second, we are going to be talking about stay-at-home mothers and some mammies that feel undervalued by staying at home. Let us know what you think, please. If you've a text, a question for Bernadette, please text us now, 083 3333 975. That's text or WhatsApp. Or you can call Audrey on 051 846 123. I've had a lovely text in there from Helen Barry about a subject which I think we're going to hopefully explore maybe tomorrow or on Monday morning. 70 years ago this week, 4 men from Passage lost their lives by drowning. Just underneath Loftus Hall. John Kirby, Joe Robinson, Willie Keating and Willie Rogers. And today is actually today. Let us remember them. So we want to give that a bit of time, Helen. So Julie will be in touch with you and we'll try and maybe do a little piece on that. Damien, congratulations to Nicole for the future. That's from Nikki. Millie is my granddaughter. I'm so proud of Synergy and how far they have come. Congrats, Nicole. Well done from Noel Lean Connolly. Well done, Nicole, from Synergy Dance. Huge well done and congrats from your student, Keely Flynn. And lots of lovely texts coming in there. So they're going to be on the Late Late Toy Show, as I said. Little mention of RTE there. We had a text in. The truth of a matter regarding RTE on a national scale, no other organisation is highlighting the good work of people like the ladies of the hospice and other regional stories and brings it to a national audience. They don't do enough, but they're the only ones that do it. Virgin and other stations don't do it. So a lot of people recognise the great work that has been done by some programmes within RTE, particularly Nationwide and News, and I know there's lots of great work being done locally as well by the crews. I know them intimately, as they say, Brian and Susie and Neelis and Helen and all the different people there, and continued success. Bernadette, I'll come to you 1 second. The WR Christmas Appeal Premier League soccer quiz is on next Wednesday night in the Cove Bar. Myself and Matt Keane. Please come with your team of 4. We're going to raise money for St Vincent de Paul and Waterford City and County. So that's the Premier League quiz next week. We're also going to be talking in a few minutes about the issues of truancy at school. But first, we're going to go straight to Bernadette. You're waiting patiently on the line. Good morning, Bernadette.
Good morning, Damien.
Thank you so much for joining us. Bernadette Ryan, relationship counsellor. We had a sex therapist on earlier talking about certain matters of intimacy, which we won't talk about now. But we are going to talk about people feeling undervalued, in particular stay-at-home mums. Now, I know there's a lot of parents out there, mums in particular, they may have to work as well part-time because of the cost of living in Ireland, Bernadette, but do we still have, I suppose, stay-at-home mums? We do?
Oh, we do indeed, Damien. And in fact, some recent articles that I've been reading say that stay-at-home mums are on the increase because of the many pressures that are put on mums that are also working outside of the home, and childcare costs and all of that sort of thing. So, and, commuting and everything. So there is a bit of an increase, in fact, in stay-at-home mums, which, of course, causes a dilemma for women around the whole area of equality and the workplace and all of that kind of thing. So, it is fraught with difficulties, and it's a very complex issue for many women.
Yeah, and we won't get into all of those issues in terms of economics and matters such as that, but it all feeds into this idea of feeling undervalued. Like, you're a relationship counsellor, you've been on the programme and on the programme regularly, and thank you so much for being on again with us this morning. In terms of relationships and how, if somebody feels undervalued, how can that affect a relationship?
Yeah, it can affect it very much. And, often the struggles for the stay-at-home mum, and indeed in some instances the stay-at-home dad, but we'll get into that another day, but for the stay-at-home mum at the moment, that she's expected to do it all. I always very consciously ask, are you working inside the home or outside the home? Quite a lot of women would say, oh, no, I don't work. And I go, really? What you mean is you don't get paid directly for your work. So it can impact a couple. And I think one of the key issues around it, or one of the important things is, and I always ask couples this, how did you come to decide that one of you, and particularly the woman, is going to stay at home and raise the children?
Yes.
So that's a key one, because parenting is a team effort. Parenting is, in most cases, where there's a mum and a dad present, or two parents is a joint effort, right? So, sort of sometimes people make the decision willy-nilly, they don't really think about it, so what is the value then that's put on the stay-at-home parent? Is it equal in value to the parent that goes out and earns the economic way for the family to live? So it really is about how parents value this. If they make the decision that the woman is going to stay at home because they value that form of nurturing for their children and they feel that their children are going to benefit from it, well, then I think it's really important that that's acknowledged and valued within the couple and within the family.
Some people will say it might even come down to the fact that the dinner table, if you come home and let's say one of the partners is out, it could be two men raising a family, it could be two women, as you say, it could be a variety of the family structure. And somebody's out and the children are out at school and you come back to the dinner table and people talk about what they've done during the day. Even that question of what did you do during the day, the person who stays at home, working at home and doing a lot of work maybe and going out doing the shopping and doing the chores and starting the fire and doing all sorts of stuff, they may feel that they've actually nothing to talk about.
Yes, and I think that's one of the issues as well. It can be very isolating and lonely for the parent and the woman that stays at home nurturing the children because, they don't get to have adult conversation during the day, mostly. They don't get to, they're dealing with children all the time. So it can feel, and they can be really looking forward to their partner coming home to have a bit of adult conversation. Partner might be exhausted after working outside the home all day and wants their dinner on the table, and before they know it, they're actually having an argument instead of a nice, cozy time together. So, it can be very stressful, and raising children can be very stressful. It's not utopia. It's not the Waltons, It has its many rewards, but it is quite difficult. And indeed, has to be said, is not for all women either, sort of thing. For the woman who really feels that that's not her sort of strength or that she doesn't want to do that, sort of the children possibly are better off having a mum that's working outside the home and feeling more fulfilled than a mum that is frustrated and exhausted,
Yeah.
But yes, often stay-at-home mums can feel, what have I achieved today? Because it can be quite chaotic. It doesn't happen in a very structured, organised way if indeed your primary concern is the nurturing of your children, particularly for very young children, So it's not going to do them much good for them to be pushed aside while the organisation of the household takes precedence. So it's a messy business raising children,
And then, the economics comes into it. So, for example, as you say, the fact that stay-at-home mums are not paid. So, effectively, there's some relationship in terms of economics has to take place with the partner, the husband, whatever the case is, and that person has to give the other person money. So then you have this idea that, I'm begging for money or somebody's giving me money just out of the goodness of their heart.
Yes.
But it wouldn't be possible, or would it? There has been talk about this, to pay stay-at-home mums.
Again, governments and organisations, I think, need to really take a look at how do we facilitate parenting in this country? And, a quick glance at things, and it really is not supported and facilitated very well. Childcare costs are huge. The workplace tends not want to know about sick children or whatever for both mums and dads. So I think there's a whole sort of shift that needs to take place children are the future of any society, and they need to be looked after, and some countries do it a lot better than we do, But paying or not a stay-at-home parent, this is where I think the couple needs to be very clear about what value they're putting on both of their contributions. The one that goes out every day, perhaps the one that goes out and earns the money would like to be at home with the children, So it really is about mutual respect for both roles that they take on and appreciation, because they're, quite often too, the male in the situation might say, I work really long hours, I commute, I'm out of the house at 6, I'm not home till 9, I barely get to see the kids, and it's an appreciation of what both are doing to contribute to both the relationship and the family. And I think that if people can focus on that, quite often, women might say, for instance, he never does anything at home. and you break it down, and actually you kind of make sure that the car is taxed and it's serviced and there's oil put in it and cuts the grass and those sorts of things, that we tend to take for granted, So it really is about cultivating within the relationship a culture of appreciation for what both are doing.
That's
and
lovely,
appreciation for the long hours that might need to be spent with a 2-year-old, listening to their, answering their, are we there yet? Why? Why is that? Maybe that's why the dinner's not on the table.
Yeah, I'd like to see the partner, whoever is out working as well, try to stay at home for 5 days to see how he or she would get on, because stay-at-home dads is another issue, and that brings itself other complications of...
And if I could just mention as well, Damien,
Please.
for those mothers that work outside the home, I think as well, there's a huge added stress for many of them, because they feel so guilty with all of the hours they're away from their children. So there's can be a real pull there, Now, some mothers love it, that's fine, But, I do feel there's a huge burden of guilt for mothers who are working outside the home and trying to do it all, So, and again, in that situation, both parents really, really need, and in fairness, mostly they do work as a team, and to remember that it's not always the amount of time you spend with your children. It's not quantity, it's the quality. If you can spend an hour's quality with your child in the day, that's far more beneficial to that child than 8 hours of mindless, sort of attention to them,
Bernadette, as ever, thank you so much.
Thanks, Damien. Take care.
Thank you, Bernadette Ryan there, our regular relationship counsellor, a topic which a lot of people will concur with, and her advice is very, very good. A text in from Tracy. Respect anyone who stays at home, as they have the hardest job. They may have 4 children, all the events, all the activities. They have to clean, they have to drive, they have to wash, they have to support the working person. Very important, respect. That's in from Tracy. Big congratulations to Maya, I think it is, or Maja, Maya, M-A-J-A, it could be M-A-Y-A, Clear, and her teammates at the Synergy Dance Club. And well done, Nicole Green, for making their dreams come true. Love from Nana and Grandad. And a lot of texts coming in to say congratulations to the Synergy Dance Club. They're going to be dancing, as we said, on the Late Late Toy Show, the first dance troupe in a number of years. Anybody remember, was there anybody in between the Bible Dance Club from the 80s, the dance school? Let us know, please, 083 333 975, and we did a video as well of the of Nicole and Nicola, so that'll be up online shortly. I got a text in from David. He heard our discussion about sex and intimacy earlier. He was listening in a waiting room of a GP, and he said it was a great few minutes, everyone feeling very uncomfortable. Now, coming up next, we are going to be talking about cancer. Would you go and get a test to see if you have a gene which may lead to cancer? It seems there's an awful lot of people doing this at present. People are referring to waiting lists now to see if they have high risks from cancer. So is it something that you do? Next. Now, welcome back to the programme. Eilish O'Regan is going to join us in a second. We're going to be talking about cancer and genetic inherited genes. People texting in about the matters we have just been covering, especially about stay-at-home mums. Damien, I work 3 shifts, including a horrendous night shift. I'd love the opportunity to work part-time and split work and spend some time with my teenager. Unfortunately, that is not possible. Keep your texts coming in, 083 333 975. And also, if you think you would go and get a test to see if you would have a gene which may lead to cancer. Eilish O'Regan, health correspondent with the Irish Independent. Good morning.
Good morning, Damien.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's a really interesting topic. Growing numbers of healthy people are on waiting lists for months to find out if they have inherited genes which leave them at higher risks of some cancers. Take us through the story, please.
This relates to the clinic there in St James's Hospital in Dublin. Now, we know cancer is not usually inherited, but some types, mainly kind of breast, ovarian, bowel or prostate cancer, can be strongly influenced by genes that can run in families. So the centre in St James's provides tests for some of these cancers, but they have seen quite a surge in people coming forward seeking the testing. They're getting around 7,800 requests a year, and so and this is putting the clinic under a lot of pressure. Now, people will be coming forward for testing because of a family history of a particular type of cancer, and they would be referred then to the clinic to find out if they have, one of these faulty genes that could increase their risk of developing the cancer later on. And then there's another category of people then who are coming forward. These would be people who already have cancer, but would like to know if they're suitable for a particular drug treatment. But in order for it to respond to that treatment, they would have to determine whether or not they actually have, again, a particular version of
the gene. Yeah, and again, your article is online, but it's in the paper. Encourage people to support journalism and buy a newspaper today. You're quoting Professor David Callagher. He's a consultant in medical oncology. And he says that a lot of testing is urgent. We keep slots for urgent cases each week. If the testing will change the treatment of a cancer patient, we will get them in. So there is this issue, obviously, with a lot of referrals. Like that's very high numbers. Nearly 8,000 referrals a year, 150 a week. And this is the only, or is it the only hospital in the country that does this, Eilish?
No, there's a laboratory. There's a service in there isn't a lab. Sorry, there's a service in Crumlin Hospital as well.
Okay.
And that deals with adults. It's not just children, but so we have limited services here. But St James's is getting obviously quite a volume, but they need more specialists in this area. Now they're getting an extra person. She's coming from New York in the new year, so that should relieve some of the pressure. But at the same time, if you were to be referred, if you were a healthy person who's been referred for a test to find out if you have a faulty gene today, you'll be waiting until May. Now, bear in mind, you would need counselling, before you do the test, because it's quite a serious piece of news to find out that you're carrying a gene that could increase your risk of cancer later on.
And this is where the moral dilemma comes into this, because on the face of it, Eilish, it seems like a great idea. And yet, if you, for example, Angelina Jolie, she inherited, I think there was the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes. So they're two of the best known examples of genes that raise a woman's risk of developing breast or ovarian cancer. If you went for this test and found out that you had the gene, your stress levels and your worry levels would obviously increase, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. That's why there's a need for a lot of counselling, and again, we're deficient in that as well. We need more counsellors. I think there was a story there recently about a woman who actually underwent double mastectomy and that, but she only had one session of counselling. So the implications of that are huge. But I suppose there is a positive in the sense that if you are made aware that you have the faulty gene, which could increase your risk, and of course there's no guarantee that you will get the cancer, but you could carry out maybe sort of modifications to your lifestyle, or obviously in the case of if you have one of the BRCA genes, which could increase a woman's chances of breast cancer or ovarian cancer, they could take the radical step, perhaps, of having the mastectomy and the removal of the ovaries.
Even though you may not develop cancer, the fact that you have the gene, which may increase the risk, may not mean the development of the cancer. And very simply, you can't, like gene therapy is still being developed. You can't change your genes, can't you not?
No, you can't. No, that is your inheritance. But I suppose what you can do is look at other issues. Say, for instance, going for regular screening every year. If for instance, you're at increased risk of breast cancer, but you don't want to have a mastectomy, you could go for instance, maybe for a mammogram every year. It could be more monitor yourself more intensely at a younger age. Breast Check at the moment offers obviously the mammograms for women over 50. But if you're under 50, then and you have that gene, you can go for screening every year. Similarly, if you're at increased risk of bowel cancer, you can go for tests. So it does. You're forewarned, I suppose, but
at the same time,
you're not helpless.
Yeah, let me just read out this text to you, Eilish. Just have a listen to this. Damien, after getting 3 different opinions who told me I had not breast cancer, and after arguing with everyone in the medical system, I travelled to Cork. I was diagnosed with early breast cancer last July 2018. I was recently tested and have the BRCA2 gene. I had a fight to get the test, and the waiting list was 18 months on the public system in St James. I had to go private. It was €2,000 in the Mater Hospital. I waited a month for an appointment letter, 3 months to get it, then got in as a cancellation. Everyone was stunned, all my team. Now I face prophylactic mastectomy and had mastectomy already. Also have to have BSO and possible hysterectomy after Christmas. It's a shocking system. This person says, I'm up to my walls with worry and would never would have known and could possibly be dying now as the cancer would have spread. And this lady says, I am living on a knife edge. My children have a 50-50 chance of inheriting it. That's horrendous.
Well, it is. I can sympathise with her. It's an enormous amount of pressure and stress and worry. Then that not only obviously for the woman herself but as to what exactly the genetic inheritance will be for maybe her siblings or for her children, but. But certainly, it's. I suppose you have to say that there are positives to the technology in the sense that if you know that you have the gene. You can try to take some control and reduce your risk.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't underestimate the stress level.
The stress and worry,
involved.
We'll follow this up, and if we get any more texts or callers in, Eilish, I have your number, I'll give you a shout. Listen, thanks so much, Eilish, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Damien.
Eilish O'Regan there, health correspondent with the Irish Independent. And that lady that texted in, I feel really sorry for you. You've obviously texted in your name. We're not going to read it out. And that is really, really difficult for you. And my heart goes out to you. Now, regarding the dancing, Mary Cummins and the Sleeve Set Dancers, they were on the Toy Show in 1995. Derek Ryan, country star, played the music for them that night. It was Gay Byrne's daughter pushed for them to be on the show. They went for the audition and she was really taken with them. So it was in the middle of the 90s. Mary Cummins had her death dancing group of 4 to 6 year olds on the Toy Show. Another person about the BRCA genes. It needs to be said, if genes can be faulty, this is one thing. And other people said, I wouldn't want to find out what happened or if I have the genes. Another person saying, both my grandmother died of ovarian cancer at 60 and my aunt at 50. So this person may be saying that they want to find out. Very, very difficult moral issues there. Would you want to find out? Would you think it'd be better not to know? 083 3333 975. Now, with all our topics to cover this morning regarding sex and intimacy and dance clubs and all that sort of stuff, we may not have time to talk to Con about school absenteeism, but I'm going to talk now to Emer Smith. She's from the ESRI, and there's a big appetite, it seems, potentially, for changing the school curriculum, especially the senior cycle, the Leaving Cert. Do you remember all the horror stories regarding the Leaving Cert? Text us in. Let us know about your horror story regarding the Leaving Cert, how it really, really sent the collywobbles and how you felt about it, because there's been research done. Emer Smith from the ESRI. Emer, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks very much for joining us. Emer, tell us your position within the ESRI, the Economic Social Research Institute, and what do you do there?
I'm a research professor. I work mainly in the field of education and research on children and young people.
OK, can you tell me about the methodology for this recent research that has been carried out?
Well, this research was based on a consultation carried out by the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, the NCCA. Part of that consultation, they involved 41 schools around the country. And within those schools, there were 2 rounds of consultations conducted with teachers, with parents, and with students themselves. So we helped the NCCA in this endeavour by conducting the analysis of all the material collected.
Was there a variety of opinions expressed, I presume so, or did you find some sort of overwhelming trends that lead you to these conclusions?
Actually, there was a bit more consensus than I had expected going into the exercise. I think overall there was an appetite for change among all the stakeholders. They all pointed to positive aspects of senior cycle as it is, especially things like transition year and subject choice. But they all kind of felt that there was a need to kind of maybe change the approach to assessment, in particular, to find more engaging ways of teaching young people, to reduce exam stress, and to better capture a broader range of skills than we're actually capturing at the moment through exams.
And transition year is technically and formally lumped in or respected, I suppose, as part of incorporating.
It's part of senior cycle.
It is it? Yeah. Whereas a lot of people still would look on transition year as literally that year between junior and senior, but it is.
Yeah, no, it's always officially sort of, but I know what you mean. Often when people say senior cycle, they mean the Leaving Cert capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because technically, I suppose, you don't start your Leaving Cert, you don't get your Leaving Cert books until you start fifth year in September.
No.
With that in mind, just on transition year, what's the general reaction and views about transition year?
Well, all groups were really positive. Young people highlight it as probably the most positive aspects of senior cycle. Parents are generally positive, as are teachers. There's little quibbles. I mean, cost emerges as an issue. Also issues about young people feeling they're getting out of the habit of homework and study. But really, it's generally seen as a positive experience. So, you know, the variety of activities young people have exposure to might differ across schools.
And in terms of, I suppose, the cross-class analysis of this in terms of DESH schools and others, would you find, or was there any figures to show that those in less well-off transition year schools or schools in less well-off would find that more difficult, as you say, because you're not being able to spend €500 or €600 and going away on a big trip during transition year?
It didn't come out as much in this study, but we do know in general that more disadvantaged groups are less likely to take transition year than other groups, so they don't benefit in the same way from having that broad experience. But it didn't emerge so strongly from this.
And in terms of the consensus that seems to have been captured within the senior cycle, what is coming out of this study? What do you think has been recommended?
Well, people would like to see the assessment looked at. So there are different ways of doing that. They weren't all in agreement, but some of the suggestions were maybe spreading assessment out. So you might do exams at the end of fifth year and then at the end of sixth year, so that it's not all concentrated into a 2-week period. Others talked about using a wider variety of methods to assess people so that you would take account of project work, portfolios or presentations, as well as exams. So it was really about taking that kind of emphasis on a very short period of time in which you demonstrate your skills through exams.
And yet, people will say the Leaving Cert as it is, maybe with little reforms and little tinkering around the edges, still remains one of the best, inverted commas, examinations of knowledge in the world. People will talk about the Irish education system and how the Leaving Cert sets you up. How do you think this research is going to play out with that sort of where we are at the minute?
I mean, it undoubtedly has strong currency, and that came across too. And teachers very strongly emphasise that any new assessment should continue to be marked externally. But I think often when we're talking about the Leaving Cert, we're mixing up an awful lot of things. We're mixing up the quality of the teaching and learning over that 2-year period. We're mixing up external assessment so that it's transparent, and we're mixing up the exam. So I think we have to be clear about what we're talking about, a little bit more.
And what about teachers? Like, teachers will be the first to say if you change the curriculum without their agreement, you are going to be looking at more workload and something that they will probably disagree with.
I think what did come up is that there have to be necessary supports put in place around professional development or resources to enable change to happen. But I think kind of part of this process of the consultation was really to involve schools and teachers as well as parents and students early on in the process to get that buy-in.
What's your own personal view about it? Like, we'd say the Leaving Cert compared to A-levels and other subjects across Europe. How do we fare?
Well, how do we fare? I think A-levels has moved back to being very similar to Leaving Cert with a high degree of specialisation in subjects, which I think is very early to specialise. But other countries that would have a greater mixture of kind of school-based and external assessments and perhaps different kinds of assessment opportunities. Other countries like Finland are less focused on assessing students. We have a very high-stakes exam, and I think, like, when I talk to European colleagues or international colleagues, they're very struck by the fact that the Leaving Cert will be on the front page of the Irish Times during the period. That isn't known in other countries.
Yeah, and the Leaving Cert results is that badge of honour and the pressure then that students are under.
Exactly.
And that doesn't exist in other countries, does it not, to the same degree?
Not to the same extent. There are high-stakes exams, but I don't think it's as public a kind of demonstration of that high stakes.
Yeah, because any time the Leaving Cert results come out, then you have the television cameras, and I've done it myself.
Absolutely.
You go looking for the person who gets the 8 or 9 A1s and all that.
And then the young people that have done the Leaving Cert apply. They don't tend to be interviewed. They don't tend to be recognised, which further then kind of stigmatises them in a way.
Where will this lead? Obviously, the research will feed into the Department of Education's analysis of any change that may be forthcoming, but hopefully it will formulate some kind of a reappraisal of where we're at?
Hopefully. I mean, the NCCA have produced a document on the basis of this and other research as a basis for consultation with the stakeholders, and they've asked for submissions, and they have an online survey open. So all of that will be the next set of information that will build on this. So I think it will be kind of a longish process, but I think it will be everyone will be very aware of where we are in that process. So I think that there is the kind of chance for everybody to have their say, and I think a kind of very unique feature of this was that students were listened to as part of the process, and I think that's very important. And
that is very important, yes, because I'd hate to be going back to doing the Leaving Cert now, would you?
Oh, no, I'd hate it. I wouldn't like to tell you when I did it. But no.
The fear, well, I was 1988, but the fear that was still engendered in it, oh my God, it was just, for any students that are out there, or parents as well, affecting this, because I think some of the things, as you say, that come from it finally, Emer, the idea of having maybe some of the exams in fifth year just takes the pressure off. And we hear about students as well that get sick, or something might happen to them during the Leaving Cert, and they can't be accommodated if there's problems there.
Exactly. I mean, there has been, some move towards kind of accommodation for bereavement, or a little bit for kind of emergency illness, but
very
there are
limited
issues that are emerging around student mental health and so on, where, and young people are very stressed at the idea that they could have a bad day, they could have a fight with their friends or their boyfriend or something, and they're thrown. And for them, this is all or nothing.
Yeah, and we know about anxiety attacks. We know about students, as you say, that are suffering issues like that, panic attacks, and this may be a way of helping it. Emer Smith, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Emer, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. Now, Tom Flynn has been on responding on Twitter, Damien, of a Thursday, talking about sex and intimacy. Oh, my God. Now, thank you everybody for all your texts and comments this morning. Other people still texting in about the issues of genetic testing. Let us know what you think about it, whether it's something that you would do yourself. We are back tomorrow with a packed show, and we are also going to be talking to Rory Cowan, him of Mrs. Brown's Boys. So any questions you want, send in anything there, please. And we've had another person talking about the BRCA gene, and she has been through cancer. Thank you, Julie, for producing. And Jeff is up next from Dungarvan.